Corruption. We have all heard of this term, but do we really understand what it means? To answer this, I asked several college students the following question.
Government,
Cheating.
police, injustice,
Insecurity, dishonesty,
Bribery.
unethical.
The truth is, there is not one single definition for corruption. It depends on the perspective that you are taking. However, according to Transparency International, corruption is defined as the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Starting off from this definition, there are many types of corruption, including influence buying, money laundering, nepotism, electoral fraud, diversion of funds, bribery, and even in Mexico we have our own expressions for these corrupt acts, such as the well-known mordida and palanca. These actions of corruption have a substantial impact on different sectors of a country. According to the UNODC, some of the consequences of corruption include increase of inequality and organized crime, decrease of quality of health and education, lack of trust in the government, impunity, and environmental damage. By preventing and combating corruption, countries around the world can reduce or even avoid the probability of having these type of problems on their territories. As well, corruption and inequality are commonly found inside a vicious cycle. The most corrupt ones are the ones that have the most inequality, and the most unequal countries are the ones that have the most corruption, which means that if we somehow manage to reduce the levels of corruption, then the levels of inequality will be reduced too. Democracy plays an important role in our fight against corruption. According to Fisman and Golden, in countries where perceptions of corruption are higher, support for democracy is eroded. This is why we need to strengthen democracy and its institutions. In this way, we as citizens will be able to vote for who we really believe is the best candidate, taking into account their real proposals and not only their anti-corrupt speech. To better comprehend how does corruption takes place in the real world, let's analyze a corruption case that happened more than 10 years ago. In 2004, Walmart installed one of their stores in Teotihuacan, Mexico, even though the area was restricted to residential use only, because of the fact that the region was pretty close to Tenochtitlan's archaeological site. Due to this, the authorities of the city created a zonification map which prohibited commercial development in the area where Walmart wanted to establish their store. However, Walmart executives paid a $52,000 bribe to a public officer so he could modify the map before its release. Besides this, Walmart gave other bribes to pass the different obstacles, such as the mayor of the city and its cabinet members. As a final outcome, and with all of these bribes, Walmart could construct their store without a problem. Resisting and fighting corruption are expressions of social responsibility, mostly because this is a problem that affects us all and that has consequences in all sectors of society. Each single act of corruption, no matter how small it is, contributes to a culture of corruption and has been present throughout the last years. We have normalized corruption as if it was something that has no solution and that is part of the natural flow of society. However, every time that we allow an act of corruption to happen, we are not considering the collateral damages that our act can have on others. This is why I invite you to resist corruption. In this way, we will be contributing to reduce the culture that we have been familiarized with. And even if it may not be the easy path, when thinking in long term, if we organize ourselves to fight and resist the corruption acts that we are exposed to, we will be rewarded with a more transparent culture and overall lower levels of corruption in our state. Let's now think on the contingent behavior theory. It claims that the decisions that we take depend merely on the decisions that others take, which means that the more we participate in corrupt acts, the more people will participate in corrupt acts as well. We can infer that we have normalized the culture of corruption in our society, and since people are used to witnessing these acts of corruption in their surroundings as a normal thing, then they are more likely to participate on these acts too. But what do we really need to prevent and combat corruption in an effective way? Firstly, we need to understand that combating corruption must be a joint effort between governments, firms, institutions, and citizens. Governments should evaluate their laws and policies regarding this matter and the applicable sanctions. Also, international cooperation is useful to share and improve anti-corruption strategies. We need to strengthen institutions of justice and governance, making sure that they are fully autonomous and considering that enhancing transparency should also be a priority. Now, we as citizens play a very important role in this fight, so pay attention, because I will share with you some of the actions that you can easily take to be part of the solution. Number 1. Participate actively in democratic and electoral processes, and please exercise your right to vote. 2. Do not involve yourself in corrupt acts, even though if it may seem as the easy path. Simply pay the fine or say no to that person that wants you to act in a corrupt way.
I know it may take an effort, but if we all do it, we will reach our goal. So, be an ambassador of the rule of law. 3. Inform yourself in terms of corruption. Read the news of your state and take advantage of the resources that we have available, such as the Plataforma Nacional Digital, for example. Please, do not forget that you have the right to access public information. And last, but definitely not least, share all of this information with the people that surround you and raise awareness on them to end this culture of corruption once and for all. Reducing the levels of corruption is in our hands, and by avoiding those small actions of corruption and sticking to the rule of law, we can make a huge difference. In this way, we will be able to gradually reduce the culture of corruption and build a new one in which its foundations are social responsibility, integrity, and transparency. So now tell me, are you willing to make a change?